Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest on this episode is indie comic writer himself, Anthony Stokes is in the building. What's going on, Anthony? How you doing, big man?
That is the first time I've heard my name pronounced like that. That is, in 30 years of life, that's crazy, but I'm doing good.
Did I mispronounce something? I'm so sorry.
No, it's like the way you said it. Like,
okay.
It's like it was strained, you know.
Okay, well.
Diaphragm.
Okay, well, I like to have fun here once in a while, so maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but I'm happy that you're here. We are happy that you're here, and also, if you have any questions for Anthony as we go throughout the course of this episode, by all means, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Our producers are going to be monitoring it as we go throughout the course of this program. And don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If this is your first time here with us, welcome, and we thank you for being here. With that being said, Anthony, when were you introduced to the world of comics?
Man, I mean, obviously, you know, there was Batman growing up, you know, like the movie, you know, which I don't think I was alive for, but it was a thing, certainly. I think Batman Returns was the one, which one of the Schumacher ones was out. That was one of my earlier movies. And then, like, you know, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies came out. That was big. And then what I really was into was manga. Like, because I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! I loved Pokemon, and my mom's friend brought home the volume 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it just blew my mind because it's so much more graphic than the TV show, right? You know. And then once that started, I started reading Yu-Gi-Oh! I started reading, you know, One Piece, started doing Shonen Jump, Rurouni Kenshin. It was like an addiction. It was addiction for a while. And then like I would go back and start dabbling more into comics, but I would say my pull list was like 80-20 manga comics.
My goodness. You mentioned Schumacher. Schumacher did the films Batman Forever and the one we don't talk about, Batman
Forever.
and Robin.
Forever. It was Forever.
It's okay. Well, good. Hey, Batman Forever is a good one to kick off with. I like that film. I think to a certain degree it's an underrated film. So
The Seal, what was it? Seal, right?
Yeah, Kiss from a Rose. Kiss from a Rose. Yep.
That was my earliest memories involved, like that song being played, you know, like, so that was definitely my first like real introduction. I feel like the superheroes, yeah, like.
Right on, man. Right on. I dig it. I've read a bit of DBZ. I've read some Rurouni Kenshin. I've read that. I've also read, what was the other one I read? Oh, Full Metal Alchemist.
So yeah. Good one. That's a good one right there.
Read that. I read a little bit of that one too. So you bring us some interesting titles there. Are there? What would you say are some of your favorite comic book writers or artists, past or present? Any names come to mind?
Now again, can I do manga artists? Or are you talking about American?
Sure. No, it could be anything. Yeah, it could be anything. Yeah.
Tatsuki Fujimoto, who did Chainsaw Man, Fire Punch. Actually, reading Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man inspired me to do Intrusive Thoughts. So that's a real big one. That's a real big one for sure. My colleagues Pat Shan and Richard Fairgray really enjoy their stuff as well. Scott Pilgrim's one of my favorite books. So Brian Lee O'Malley, phenomenal. You know, that's another great person. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to name off. You know, it's a big pull list.
Yeah, it's true. We could be here all night, which we're not going to be, unfortunately. Sorry for the viewer, the listener, but we can't go too long with these things. Sometimes people have limits, so let's respect that, shall we? Well, what would you say were some of your favorite comic book based movies or TV series, past or present, other than the ones that you mentioned?
Oh man, I mean, I love the MCU. I love the Avengers. Avengers One, Infinity War is an incredible movie. I feel like the Boys. I really enjoy the Boys. I enjoy the Harley Quinn show. I think is really good. Phenomenal show. I'm gonna go with a deep cut. I think Super by James Gunn is an incredibly underrated movie and probably one of his best movies.
Wow, man, that's the one with Rainn Wilson and
Ray
now the individual who's
Wilson,
now known as Elliot Page.
Elliot Page.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
they were fantastic. That's a great movie.
Hmm. Nothing beats taking your anger out on somebody with a monkey wrench, right? Or something like that. Was it a wrench?
That wa-
Jeez.
that was such a bleak movie, and I feel like it's a shame that's overshadowed by I like the first two Guardian movies a lot, so I think the newer stuff is definitely quality, but I think it's an under discussed movie.
Hmm. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. We can go with that. When did you?
Boondocks.
Oh,
Also
Boondocks.
love the Boondocks. That just came to my head, which is not, like a superhero, but it is an American comic book adaptation.
There you go. Nothing. Nothing wrong with that, respectively. When did you decide to become an indie comic book writer?
I must Kickstarter was popping off like around 2016. Oh my god, 2016, 2017, 2018. So that's when I started. The gears started turning, and then COVID hit, and I was just working an insane amount of hours, which allowed me to write. I was writing crazy amount of pages, man. I probably wrote 500 pages of scripts in 2020, maybe 2021 as well, like around that time. And then I had the funds to start the comic book. Yeah.
Ooh, my goodness gracious, that is an awful lot of writing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's better than anything I could write. I mean, it took me a bit of a while to write this short story that I wrote. I think it was last year during NaNoWriMo Remu, which, for those of you wondering what that acronym is, it's National Novel Writing Month. So there you go. It's a short story. It's not a full length novel because that's a whole different set of cards. Let's not go into me writing 20 or 30 chapters of something. That's a long ways off. But with that being said, it's a lot. It's a lot. What would you say are some of the biggest rewards about being an indie comic book writer?
I think the camaraderie, man. I mean, I really have a really tight group of friends. I think we met in 2022, and we're like a family. We linked up. I linked up with some of them last year in Baltimore, and then that was crazy. Baltimore Comic Con is like it's close. It's a close con. It's almost like more of a vacation than a work trip. And then this year, and man, it was like 8 of us in the Airbnb. It was phenomenal. It was immaculate. It was such a great time. So that's definitely, I would say, the best part. And being able to express yourself creatively, of course. You know, when you get that big paycheck from a Kickstarter, that's not bad either.
Oh boy, yeah, there's nice checks with a lot of zeros behind them, guys. A lot of zeros. Anyway,
Just three so far.
three,
But
it's okay.
knock on wood.
Yeah, hey, you know what they say, right? We all got to start somewhere. We work our way up the ladder. You can't take the elevator to the top. You got to take the stairs. Got to take the
Yeah.
stairs. It's just how it works. And you mentioned Baltimore Comic Con. It's funny. I've lived in Maryland for over 3 decades, and not once did I step 1 foot inside Baltimore Comic Con, and I should have, because that's all the legends are there, all the new talent is there, all of them are there. They're all in the same building at the same time, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I wish I would have gone to BCC, which stands for Baltimore Comic Con, for those of you keeping track of the millions of acronyms at home, to that show, because I've heard nothing but great things, and some of the biggest names in the world have been there, including my favorite, Mark Waid. I'm a huge Mark Waid guy. So, and I actually had the pleasure of meeting him earlier this year. I actually met him in GalaxyCon up in Raleigh in North Carolina, which was a great show, by the way. GalaxyCon. Well, for the most part, well done. But at the same time, get a hold of the lines, man. The crowd control. You got to get better at that, folks. Seriously, it is like a mosh pit every time I walk through there. What is just, I don't know. Anyway, that you know what they say, right? That's neither here nor there. But once again, this is a new episode of And I Quote with our guest of honor, Anthony Stokes. And don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for him, Anthony, by all means, put them in the comments, put them in the chat. If this is your first time here, welcome. Whether you're joining this live or on the replay, we can't do this without you. And speaking of questions, Anthony, someone here has a question for you. David Mamina says, what are the best ways for indie writers to market their work?
Absolutely. So what's the best way? I think the thing that is very important is using your interest, right? So for instance, I like talking, I like hearing the sound of my own voice, sometimes interrupted by a host or what have you. So I like doing I like doing podcasts, right? I like doing live streams and stuff like that. But if you're not somebody, you don't want a camera presence, then you can do promo images, you could do, you can ask questions on social media. It's really, you got to tailor it to your specific taste, because you got to think like some of these can't, if you're doing Kickstarter, which I think is, I don't know if it's the norm, but it's a pretty prevalent like release platform. Then I mean, some of these campaigns are 30 days plus, so you have to do it every day. So just do something that you're interested in, so it won't feel like you're marketing your book, so it feels like a natural thing.
And we thank you for answering that question. And by the way, that's from Mamina Books and Games. You can find him on YouTube. He's got a great channel over there. He's an indie writer himself. Congratulations on the upcoming release of your new book, David. Well done, my friend. Good on you. Look forward to reading that very, very soon. So on the flip side of the coin, though, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being an indie comic book writer?
Oh my God, not getting enough sleep, bro. Not getting enough sleep and money, man. That's really it. I mean, I decided to do 3 new series this year and do 6 releases. And I'm not gonna say I regret it. Also, I started a bunch. I started like, oh my God, so many new series, like just so much stuff, and it's tricky because I'm a momentum-based person, like I want to, if something feels good, I'll do it. And I don't want things to feel like a job. So you're starting all this stuff with all this enthusiasm. And then, boy, sometimes it's all fun. It's up here. And then you have to put on the page and you have to get it drawn. That's a whole different struggle. So that's what I would say. Also, you got to take care of yourself, something that I'm trying to do more of. It's hard to do when you're campaigning, like you have like a, 30, 45-minute podcast to do in a day. Sometimes I do 2 or 3. It's hard to really take care of yourself. You might have to get the grub up, but it is important to, you can't write, if you're not alive. Kind of morbid, but it's true.
Wow, you are one busy person. I've only known you for less than 15 minutes of my life. That is, whew. You know what they say, right? Hard work always pays off in the long run. So well done, man. And by the way, David Mamina says, thank you, sir. That's great advice. So
thank you. Absolutely. I mean, it's a thing of like compartmentalization as well. Like I'm not working on every single thing every single day. I kind of try to focus on specific things. Like, all right, one day might be a research day. I'm going to read a bunch of comics. One day might be a writing day. Like, okay, I'm going to work this. One day might be an outlining day. And I also make time to like work on whatever I'm inspired by. Like I do a lot of thinking. I do a lot of my writing like when I'm half asleep, either kind of waking up or going to sleep. And then so you gotta be ready to like carry through with that creative process or whatever inspiration you have. But 2024 is gonna be great. I have a lot of releases coming out. I think I have like 12 plus releases coming out next year that I'm involved with or has my name on it, and very excited for that.
Well, congratulations on that. We wish you nothing but the best of luck with everything moving forward. That is for sure. You kind of remind me of someone who's going to be on the show here pretty soon. That would be Carissa Grant of Word the Chaos Comics. That woman puts out like 6 Kickstarters a year, like 12 comics a day. I don't know how she does it. Carissa, I don't know how you do anything, honestly. Like, do you, and we've posed this question to her on different occasions, and I'm going to ask her this when we see her in the studio. She's going to be on a future episode of And I Quote. The links are up on our social media. Feel free to look at that when you get an opportunity. She doesn't sleep. I don't think she sleeps. I don't think she does. She's like a Terminator sent back through time. I don't get it. I don't get it. Carissa, my hat's off to you. Have you met Carissa Grant by any chance? Do you know who she is?
Absolutely. I used to talk to Carissa, I believe in Twitter Spaces semi-regularly. She actually sent me a very nice message.
Really?
On my last campaign or second to last campaign, and I think I was, I might have started off around the same time. I'm not sure, but she said a lot of the advice I gave helped her. These are her words. So shouts out to Carissa. No, I mean she's doing her thing, man. She's cooking.
Yeah, well, they don't call her Worthy Chaos Comics for nothing, man. It's nothing but chaos, brother. Yeah. So
a lot of that.
Goodness gracious, I don't know how she does it. I think if she, and I'm going to bring this up to her the next time I see her, Carissa, I think your entrance music, if you're walking out to a building full of people at a Comic-Con or an event, or if you're walking out to the ring on a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown, I think your theme song might be Carry On My Wayward Son by Kansas. Because you got that supernatural, comic book series and that supernatural vibe that you have expressed in the past that you're a fan of that property. So maybe.
Shouts out to Carissa, man.
For real, man. You want to talk about hard work? There's a giant picture of her and Worthy Chaos Comics right next to it. Gosh darn it. But anyway, sorry, Carissa. We're giving you too much credit. We're putting you on something known as a pedestal. I got to stop doing that with people. I got to stop it. Stop it.
Hey, I need the same thing on her episode. You know what I'm saying? Give me some airtime, please.
Oh, for sure. No, 100%, 100%. And with that being said, if someone, you've mentioned a few things, but is there anything you wish to add to the question where if someone is aspiring to be an indie comic writer, what other pieces of advice would you give them?
I would say be prepared to spend more money than you would think, for sure, because there's expenses. I don't like this comparison, but it's not like it's a one-to-one. But I remember being a kid and I would just mess something up, and I would give my parents some kind of new expense. Like, I remember my dad just shaking his head. That's kind of what comics is like. It's always a new expense. It's always some kind of unforeseen thing that you have to pay for. So I think there's that. I think do your research on your platform. I think there's a lot of people that are on Kickstarter, for instance, and they don't even back them any campaigns. They don't even know how the platform works. When a lot of us that are having success on the platform, I studied Kickstarter for like an entire year and backed like 30 plus campaigns just to, okay, what's the quality of the book? What's the communication like with the creators? Stuff like that as well. So I think being prepared. And then if you have to wait, I think I think that's one thing is people getting like, I understand being eager and wanting to start, but you have to really you really have to just think about how much work goes into it. It's almost not even the work, but just like Kickstarter is such a waiting game. You want to just wait as much. I've only had a few days in my Kickstarter career where I've had no pledges. Like I'm pretty consistent with it, but I mean, it's hard. Like those days will come. You gotta be ready for that. You gotta be prepared for that. So definitely get your ducks in a row.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And once again, we are here with indie comic book writer Anthony Stokes on this episode of And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for him, by all means, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If this is your first time here, welcome and thank you for being here. Intrusive Thoughts. What is this all about and how did this all come about?
So I made my first comic book series and I really wanted to do another one. I was really inspired. And like I said, I had read Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch, and something I loved about those series and about that author is he's really good at keeping the audience off guard. And that's what I wanted. I'm completely self-taught. I would just consume media. And there's a point where it's hard to get wrapped up into a story. It doesn't happen much. So when I'm reading something, I want something that catches me off guard. If you have a bunch of twists, it's like, it's a good way to keep me engaged, and I want something like that for the readers as well. So that's the start of it. That was like the birth of the idea, I guess.
And what is Intrusive Thoughts about? What's the elevator pitch?
Elevator pitch is it's about an orphan who's abandoned at 3. He has anxiety, depression, sleep paralysis, and his mental health gets worse once his sleep paralysis demon bites one of his classmates. It's my favorite cover right there.
Boy, that's deep. It's gruesome stuff. A little bit more gruesome than Inception, man. You know, I don't know. Have you seen that movie, Inception?
Inception? Yeah. Oh man. I mean, Inception was. There was a time I think Scott Pilgrim and Inception were in the box office at the same time. Around that time, and I somehow I remember my movie theater. They were doing like some renovation, and there was a giant poster, and they had a Scott Pilgrim poster, and it had like an Expendables poster, and I grabbed the Expendables poster like a jerk. Like I should have got that Scott Pilgrim poster, bro. But like, I was. This is a giant, bro. This is a giant poster too, man. Swag. I can't believe it. But Inception came out. There was a bunch of stuff when I was starting to realize I liked writing. That was like hitting a speed boost for I want to do this. And Inception was one, Scott Pilgrim was one, Superbad was one, and Glorious Bastards. These are all kind of not in the same time frame, but this is like I guess like late 2000 stuff. And yeah, I love Inception.
Yeah, Inception's a good one. It's just Superbad. McLovin. You made yourself like 97, man. What are you doing?
Yeah. Superbad, I'm not sure I'm a writer right now if it's not for Superbad. I love that movie. I love that movie so much.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair. I got you. I mean, it has its fair share. It definitely has its fans for sure. I mean, I may or may not be one of them, but hey, that's okay. Every film has at least one fan, and it doesn't matter what film it is. It doesn't matter what studio came out with it. It's just, it's one of those things. So, have there been any special memories for you from being at conventions or other events, whether you are there as a vendor or there as an attendee?
I've always go to cons exclusively as a vendor, but I'm trying to think what I can say. What I can't say. I met Pat Shan. I mean, we were close friends. We're friends. And I met him in Baltimore, and we just got like super close. And that's one of my best friends. He's like family to me. And I met him last year at Baltimore, and he's kind of taking me under his wing, and it's one of the most important relationships to me. Like not just in comics, but just in my life. Period.
All right. Well, thanks for that's a good memory. Thank you for sharing that with us. I do want to let you know that this episode and every episode of And I Quote is indeed powered by our good friends over there at Poddex. Now check this out. Poddex are unique interview questions as well as episode starting prompts located in the palm of your very own hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out our friends over there at poddex.com. Use that code RYAN10, RYAN10 for 10% off your first order. Don't miss out on that opportunity. So Poddex wants to know the following. Who would you most like to sit next to on a 10-hour flight and why?
Just in general?
Could be anybody. Could be someone in the comic industry. Could be somebody outside of the comic industry. Could be anybody.
That is a hard... Who are you picking? Let me hear your answer. Maybe that will inspire me.
All right. Who would I like to sit on a 10-hour flight with? Gosh, man, that's a bit of a toughie. But one of the first... I mean, it's a bit of a tough one. It's a bit of a tough question, but a 10-hour flight, that's a lot. Who wants to be on a flight for 10 hours, by the way? But anyway, if I had to be stranded on a 10-hour flight, I'd want to talk to one of the first actors I remember watching growing up and seeing him on screen as a kid. And that would be, there's been a lot of iterations of this character over the decades, but this is how I was introduced to him as a character. GoldenEye, Pierce Brosnan. So I'm going with Pierce Brosnan's James Bond. I want to talk to Pierce Brosnan for 10 hours because that guy, I've seen some interviews that have been cut with him. He just seems like an approachable, like cool. Also, he knows how to like just be funny about things, laid back kind of dude. So I like to hang out with Pierce Brosnan, aka for me, I can't speak for everybody, the OG James Bond for me, Pierce Brosnan. So I'm going with that. What do you think?
Factually incorrect, but subjectively.
Yeah, subjectively, he's correct. My OG, but the original obviously is Sean Connery. Let's not forget. I know.
Daniel Craig would be my James Bond. I was like a little bit. I was right around the age of being too young for James Bond. And then also, those movies look kind of weird. Those movies look kind of goofy sometimes. That CGI wasn't quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Denzel Washington.
Great
saw
answer.
Malcolm X last weekend.
Oh,
I mean, it's an incredible movie. I mean, oh my God.
Mhm.
And I feel like he would just have so much wisdom and just so much like interesting things to say. I would have to pick him.
That's a great pick. He's one of the greatest actors of all time, bar none. He's been doing it for decades.
He has a screen presence, I think, that is like probably top 10. You know, there are some people that you just feel like, or you just turn the camera and they're just movie magic. I feel like Angelina Jolie, like I could see her drinking coffee and like it'd just be cinematic gold. You know, he's one of them.
I gotcha. Wow, man, that's a great pick. That's a great pick.
My favorite actor.
I mean, not this year. It's not this year, right? But next year will be the 20. I want to say it's the 25th. Is it the 25th or 35th? No, it'll be the 35th anniversary of Denzel's Academy Award-winning performance in the war film Glory.
Glory,
Turns
yeah.
35 next year. Yeah, we're gonna do an anniversary watch along for that. So stay tuned for that. That's gonna be it's gonna be a big one. That's one of the, to me, that's my favorite war movie of all time is Glory. Matthew Broderick, Cary Elwes, Denzel, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, so, not bad. I'm rocking with Saving Private Ryan. I think like Saving Private Ryan.
It's a good one.
Or Fury, but I think what's great about Glory, I like looking at media like in like generations, right? Because media inspires other media. So you can look at Glory as like, you know, like second generation war movie. I feel like war movies probably used to be like, yay, you know, woo, like that's a good thing. And then there was probably later where it was like, oh, this is bad actually, which I feel like Glory was a part of. And then I feel like Saving Private Ryan, like it's almost like it gets more cynical as the decades go on. And then Fury is just like, oh man, this sucks. Like this is terrible. All these characters suck. Everything looks wet. Like that looks so miserable. That movie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Everything looked cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Depending on the movie and the circumstances and the weather conditions, yeah, it can be not as brutal as a wintertime on the ice planet Hoth in Empire Strikes Back. Woo. Man, you had to cut out people's tauntauns just to keep yourself warm. Don't know if I want to do
that cold sometimes, man. Like I used to be a Boy Scout, so there's something about like wet mud that it elicits a primal fear within me of just like, oh my God, because you're like walking in the mud and your foot gets stuck, your ankles hurt, and it feels like the cold makes it worse. Oh man, it just takes me back to a bad place.
Well, let's lighten things up with this warm-hearted question. Poddex wants to know, what things do you do every day that you wish could be automated?
Going to work. Oh my God, driving to work.
Mm-hmm.
I got 30. I leave the house. I got a 40-minute commute.
Wow, man.
It's straight highway, so it's not too bad. But
it's
not fun. It's definitely not fun. And I don't know. This might be tricky, but like writing, I guess. But like I want to do the writing, but do I have to physically write it? Does that make sense? Like, just scan what's in my head on the page. I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we can get a protocol droid to write it all down for you. Like C-3PO.
With that, I mean, that's we
can get protocol
tricky subject. Is that a guy?
Well, yeah, I know that's a very touchy-feely topic right now. So
that's
I won't.
Slippery slope.
I won't touch that one with a 10-foot pole. No puns intended,
Me
by
neither.
the way. So, what's the weirdest and or strangest tradition that your family has, if any? And if not, we can always pass and move on to the next question.
Let me think about that. My family is a pretty like, it's a pretty normal family, man. We watch football, I guess. Like that's pretty crazy. I feel like it's crazy sometimes, but I guess that's the most like, yeah. I don't got nothing crazy.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. You know, these questions are just meant to keep people on their toes and just have fun with it. What's the strangest and or weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh man. Oh my goodness. I wish I had these in advance. I don't want to waste their time. I mean, this is just a thing. I don't know if it's the strangest, but I made bourbon chicken nachos. I had some bourbon chicken left over and some tortillas. Some tortilla chips, and I just put everything together. I had some green onions. It was phenomenal. It fusion food. I feel like there's a boring answer.
Okay. No, an answer is an answer. It's okay. I mean, whoever is listening or watching this, they can interpret it however they wish. That's up to you. I'm not saying you're right, and I'm not saying you're wrong either. It's just a matter of what you feel about it. So, Poddex wants to know, what happened exactly on your worst date?
My worst date? Oh man, I don't have that many. I don't have that many dates. Is this like a what's the age? No, I can't even do it. I can't. I'm sorry. It's a little graphic. I can't do it, man. All
right. If there's no G or PG version of any of those stories, then it's okay. You don't have to get into it.
Go. I'm sorry, man.
It's all right. We'll switch it up with this one. We'll sub in one question for another one. How about this? Poddex wants to know, what is something that you hate but you wish you loved?
What's something that I hate
but you wish that you loved? Could be anything. Could be a piece of music. Could be a piece of artwork. Could be a book or a comic book, something like that. It could be anything.
There's so many movies that I watch. Mission Impossible 7 is like one of the worst written movies I've ever seen.
The newest one?
The newest one.
I haven't seen it yet, so don't spoil it for viewers who haven't seen it.
I'm not going to spoil it, but for instance, the plot is that there's like this thing that is like super smart that it's a piece of AI.
Oh, okay.
And so they have all the characters in the room. You get the opening sequence of the characters in the room with the big top guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're all giving a piece of exposition, like, oh, we started this in like this time, and like, oh, the machine got smarter, and then so they say the machine has achieved sentience, and then the president turns around, and he says, "Are you saying this thing has a mind of its own?" And it's like the worst line of dialogue I've ever heard in my life.
That's in the movie? I didn't think they would put AI in the movie. That just seems dumb.
Well, you think about like how much. I mean, that's been a thing since like when did 2001: A Space Odyssey come out? Like
1967, I think.
It's been a thing for like 50 years. Like I don't know. It was just really. I just bugged out that like a professional screenwriter had that. Like, you mean it has a mind of its own?
That sounds like something they would put in a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, it's really lazy. I hated that movie, but I really wanted to like that. Guardians 3, I wasn't crazy about. I wanted to love that one. Every Marvel movie lately, like I'm not going to say I grew up on the MCU. I was like probably 15 or 16 when Iron Man came out, but those movies were 2008. Yeah. So how old was I? I was like, I'm not going to do the math right. I was probably 16. And I grew up on like Spider-Man, and it was like, oh man, to see where it's headed. I just cannot rock with the new stuff, man.
I've heard a lot of the newer films and TV series have brought in diminishing returns.
Yes, diminishing returns, and it's like this crazy dissonance because people are like, oh, they're like we're in like the 20th movies. They're like, oh, they had to start over, Like, what do you mean they had to start over? We're 13 years. I graduated in 2011, 10 years ago. And then 3 years before that, they started with Iron Man. What do you mean they're starting over? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been low diminishing. From what I've heard, I haven't seen a lot of it, but from what I've heard, it's been low and diminishing returns. And also, there's this thing going around the interwebs that some people are saying that we are suffering from comic book movie or comic book television series fatigue.
I don't think that exists if the stuff is good. Like, you're telling me if every single thing, let's say every comic book movie, TV show that came out, let's say The Dark Knight, Infinity War, Guardians 1, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out, and then they had Harley Quinn in The Boys. Like, if that's all we got, I don't think people would get fatigued. Like, if it was that level of quality, I don't think people would get fatigued. I think you're getting the fatigue because the stuff is that good, So I've watched it. It's not that good. I think that's the thing.
All right. Well, this is always the rabbit hole we can dive deeper into. But by the way, David Mamina from Mamina Books and Games has another question for you. He asks, which villain is the most relatable? And I'm assuming he's meaning any villain from any piece of media.
Man, I mean, I think Killmonger, not to get too much in the weeds, but I think he was I think his motivation was, it's a gray area, but you can definitely understand that being angry about certain things, like Probably it's hard. That's a slippery slope. Like agreeing with the agreeing with the villain. I mean, oh man, I mean the Vulture from Spider-Man, no, Homecoming. I feel like he was pretty relatable. You know, he was just a blue collar guy that got screwed over. You know, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Hmm. Let's see. Let's see. I think I'm gonna leave it at that before I get myself in too much trouble.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. Throwing in a bit of the Marvel flavor of the week. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Of course. I mean,
He's
it's
on
Michael.
topic.
It's Michael Keaton, man. It's Michael
He's
Keaton.
phenomenal.
He's one of the
He's
best in the
phenomenal,
world.
man.
Look at what this guy's done. He goes from playing Mr. Mom to Beetlejuice, and then a year later he plays Batman, not once but twice. Actually, 3 times if you count his appearance in The Flash. So it's just look what Keaton has done in his 45+ year career. It's insanity.
It's bizarre. I mean, when you say there are certain performances where it's hard to put the face of the actor to the person. Like speaking of Iron Man, that's one thing. Like I look at Beetlejuice and I still can't believe that's Michael Keaton,
AKA
and
one of the OG Batmen.
I'm watching out of Iron Man. This is when Tropic Thunder was coming out. My dad like, yo, look, that. He was like, look, that's Robert Downey Jr. That's Iron Man. But I was like, oh,
I'm the dude
God.
playing the dude disguised as another dude.
That was like, that's another one where you're like, I can't reconcile that this is the same guy. Like it just doesn't, it just doesn't connect.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but I recently watched this movie for the first time a couple weeks ago. This was a film that came out prior to Iron Man, so this is before 2008, right? So this film came out by Shane Black. It was called Kiss Kiss, Bang, Bang. And the moment I started watching that, about 5-10 minutes into the movie, I'm thinking, this is RDJ's audition as Tony Stark. This is literally just him auditioning and playing like a meta version of Tony Stark in that movie. And then he gets the role of Iron Man 3 years later. I'm thinking, no wonder they picked him to play this role. He was already made for it back in 2005.
Then they got Shane Black. They got Shane Black to do the Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's unfortunate that I feel like Shane Black. I don't think Iron Man 3 is the best movie, but I feel like he definitely could have been like a James Gunn for them. But I mean, it is what it is. Like just kind of do multiple properties and stuff. But
yeah.
I mean, it is. No, but you're right. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, real quick, is a phenomenal movie. It's incredible.
I need to one of these days. I'm going to sit down and rewatch it because that whole clip. I mean, it's been all over the internet for a long time now, so it's not exactly what is known as a spoiler in the community. But when Val Kilmer, when you have an iteration of Batman and Iron Man teaming up and then fighting with each other in the same movie, look up "idiot" in the dictionary. You know what you'll find? A picture of me. No, the definition of the word "idiot," which you freaking are. It's so good. It's so good. It's hilarious, isn't it?
Key and Peele had this great bit where they're outside the movie theaters.
Yeah.
And they were like, they're like, Robert Downey Jr.'s career started off here and it went like this. And then Val Kilmer's career went like this. And they were like, they met in the middle and they were like, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is the best movie of all time. It was a good bit.
Oh man. I'm gonna have to look that up. I haven't seen that bit from Key and Peele, so I have to look that up, man.
It's a good one. It was a really good one. I think they brought it back. I don't even think the show was back. I think they did it because like Avengers came out or something.
Oh really?
It was a good one.
I'm gonna have to look that up, man. Seriously, that sounds like a good time watching some good old fashioned comedy. And nothing is better than having a smile on someone's face. With that being said, thank you for being a part of this episode of And I Quote Anthony Stokes. Thank you for being here, kind sir. This has been a great chat, and we wish you and your team over there the best of luck with all your stories, all the great things you have going forward. Where can the person watching or listening to this follow you on social media?
At Stokes the Writer on Twitter, Instagram.com/the K Comic, and then they can find the Kickstarter if they search Intrusive Thoughts Issue 2 Kickstarter on Google.
Rock on. Thank you so much for being here, kind sir. I'm going to talk to you again here in just a moment. My name is Ryan of Neuroculture. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. All the links to where you can follow Anthony Stokes as well as myself are located in the description of this episode, on the video and audio version of this episode, I should say. Also, we're getting close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and once we do, we're going to throw a great big live stream celebration that's going to include returning favorites. Anthony Stokes is more than welcome to come back and say hi to us and say hello to you, maybe answer some more of your questions about the greatness that is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, or maybe some of the other things that he enjoys. I don't know. But also, we're going to be doing special giveaways once we reach 1,000, and some of those giveaways are going to include prints from the one and only The Art of John Pinto, including these prints of characters from a hit series known as Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. Oh my gosh, look at that! You could be walking away with this. We could be sending this to your home right now. You never know. Doctor Who. This is another print that you could walk away with as a special giveaway item. Also, if you're a fan of A Galaxy Far, Far Away, you could walk away with this. Add this to your collection. Put it up on your wall of Darth Vader. You know, him and his lightsaber, all that kind of jazz. So if that's your thing, if you want to support the channel, support what we're doing, just tell your friends about us, because once we hit 1,000, we're going to do special giveaways and do that great big live stream. Also, Nerdy Cantinas on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's where we talk all things Star Wars and draw cards from the 125 conversation card deck of Star Wars presented by Inside Editions. Also, the Meaning of Fandom is going to drop on Friday, October the 20th with a new roundtable of guests. We're going to talk about what a specific fandom and or character from a specific fandom means to that individual and why. It's a brand new series that we are starting. We already got the first episode up on our channel right now, so you can go back and watch that to get ready for the next one. Also, the movie anniversary watch along is going to come back in the month of November with 30th anniversary watch alongs for Disney's The Three Musketeers, the live action one with Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland, etc., etc. Also, 30th anniversary of Mrs. Doubtfire with the late, great Robin Williams and company. And also the 007 movie Quantum of Solace turns 15 this year in the month of November. We're going to be celebrating all three films and then some. So stay tuned for that. All the links are on our social media channels and all that. So once again, thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Ring that bell to be notified when our videos go up or they go live. And remember, indie supports indie. And life is better when reading comics or books. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams they placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? Who do you want me to be? Am I still missed?
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.